What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Well, I want to give you a quick update on what I'm seeing from Jasmy right now because its price is doing something very interesting, and I don't think enough people are recognizing this. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into today's video. And don't forget, my friends, if you do want to start trading some Bitcoin, Solana, Sui, and many more on all the way up to 500x leverage, you can check out that BTCC link down below. Guys, if you do sign up specifically with my link down there on this page, they're going to give you a 10% bonus on all first-time deposits between $500 and $100,000. Guys, this means that if you deposit, say, $3,000, they're going to give you $300 on the spot to start trading with. And if you turn that into, say, $1,000, all the profit that you make is completely yours, no strings attached. It's literally an opportunity to make some free gains during this bull market on a very good trading platform. So if you do want to go check that out, of course, again, I will leave the link to that down below. Now, before we talk about what's going on right here with Jasmy's price, I want to give you a little bit of context about what we've been talking about so I can start to paint the picture for you that I want to share today. Now, over the last 2 weeks, we've really been tracking Jasmy's progress in breaking out of this golden box. If you've watched my channel for a while, you know this golden box is extremely important, and history says that when we can break the golden Fibonacci ratio, that does open up the door for what's called Fibonacci extensions. Very simply, this means that as Jasmy's price would start to break this golden box, it opens up the door for the price to start pushing to 6 cents and 8.5 cents. Well, that's exactly what we saw from Jasmy. We started to see, of course, his price push up through this golden box. It then pushed up through that previous high, straight up to our very first breakout target, right around 6 cents, before starting to pull back a bit. Now, the good thing is we were ready for this pullback. We weren't even worried about it because I told you, hey, listen, oftentimes when cryptos reach these first Fibonacci extension levels, we see it at least cool down or pull back. So don't be surprised to see Jasmy lose a little momentum here, and that's exactly what we saw. I even told you, hey, if it does start to pull back, don't be shocked if its price starts coming back towards this gold box, because Jasmy has a history of trying to flip these gold boxes from resistance into some support, so we might see some type of bigger pullback. And it's funny because at the time, a lot of people were saying, that's not going to happen. That's a 35% correction for Jasmy, not in a bull market, not going to happen. And well, what do you know? Jasmy's price pulls back about 44% directly into that golden box before recovering. Now, as this price has been recovering, what I told you all was that we're stuck between two ranges. We have the top side golden box and the bottom side golden box. And whatever happens here, whichever one of these we break first, is likely the direction we're going for a while. But I want to kind of build on top of that today, talk about what we are seeing right now, why I think that it's a bullish thing, and actually give you a little bit of something that I've noticed recently that does build to my bullish thesis for Jasmy. And so with that said, now that we have gotten the recap out the way, let's dive a little bit deeper into what's happening now. Now, I will warn you, some of the stuff that we're about to get into, if you are a beginner, could get a little bit confusing, especially if you're kind of new to all of this. So if you are someone who's just new to this crypto space and you're just trying to figure all this crypto stuff out, or maybe you're on the opposite side of the spectrum and you're super advanced, but you're just trying to add more tools to your toolbox, all that I ask from you is to stick around to the end of the video. At the end of the video, I'm going to tell you guys how you can join into the Discord server, get access to all the classes, coaching sessions, and workshops that we're doing that are generating our community hundreds of percentages and gains every single day. So if you're interested in that, you want to get better at this whole crypto thing, again, all that I ask you is just to stick around until the end of the video. So going to our 4-hour time frames, let's dive a little bit deeper into this. Okay, so you remember how in yesterday's video I told you, all right, so this is what we know. We have the golden box below us. This is a major zone of resistance that has now been tried to flip to be, tried to be flipped into some support. So that's where we're balancing on the bottom side. To the top side, we have this micro Fibonacci zone that was created from our swing high all the way down to this swing low down here. Well, what we know is that Jasmy is going to break one of these at some point, and whichever one it breaks first is likely the direction it goes for at least a couple weeks. I think it's more likely that we do see Jasmy's price break towards the upside here, but obviously there is still the intrinsic risk that we do see Jasmy's price continue lower. And so because of that, my whole game plan right now is to really not do anything while we're in the middle. If Jasmy's price does pull back into this golden box, I will be doing a little bit of purchasing. But quite frankly, we're not there yet. And so because of that, I'm not doing anything at all. But I want to actually build on top of that a little bit and tell you why the fact that we actually got rejected yesterday off of this golden box isn't a bad thing, and it might actually be a good thing. And then I'm going to tell you about the thing that nobody's really speaking about right now. So the reason why us getting rejected yesterday, why I actually think that this is a bit of a bullish signal, is because it does start to form more bullish structure. What I need you to remember is that when cryptos pump to the upside, what you want to see is structure. If you can see structure, the likelihood is that you're going to have more of a long-term sustainable growth. Because quite frankly, pumps to the upside that look like this although they're fun, they're not good. They're not sustainable. They're oftentimes bubbles that lead to things like this. Whereas once you can get a breakout to the upside, a little bit of structure, a breakout to the upside, capitulation, structure, breakout to the upside, the structure is what gets you the move to the upside. And so we here on the channel love to see structure of this nature. And the fact that we've now seen Jasmy's price get this rejection here, although it can be viewed in a bad way that we didn't just break above it, I don't think so. I think this is creating more of a liquidity pocket and liquidity zone that's providing us with the opportunity to generate enough of a foundation that can then be used to break to the upside. Very similarly to what we saw like back here in a more small example, right? What you can see here is that Jasmy's price got this move to the upside, came back down, got a bit of a reversal, generated the structure, then used that structure to break to the upside and then start to really make this move upwards. And so because of that, although this isn't the best sign ever, it's not a bad sign, especially as we are continuing to see some of our indicators resetting. Now, speaking of our indicators, as I mentioned before, there is something that's happening right now with our daily MACD that I want to show you because I do think that it's interesting and I think that it's at least worth looking at because it could imply that a pretty strong pump could be coming here from Jasmy in enough time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the daily charts. Then we're going to go to the MACD. We're going to pull this bad boy up. Now, what you're immediately going to notice is that we very, very well might be seeing a daily bearish cross, right? A death cross here on this daily MACD, which you would think, oh, that's a bad thing. And generally speaking, it is a bad thing. But the thing about it that I've come to realize is that in bull markets, it actually tends to represent when we're getting towards the bottom side of a percentage move. So in terms of overall percentages, you're usually getting towards the bottom of it. And what I've actually come to realize with Jasmy is that once Jasmy's price sees a pullback of 30 to 50% and it gets the daily MACD bear cross, it actually starts to signal a bottom. Let me show you. So what we can do is we can go look at the last 2 times that this has happened. Both of them were this year, which I think is the most applicable scenario. We want to look at it from during a bull market. And what I want to do is I want to play you through 2 situations. Situation number 1 is the most recent one, which is what happened back here. What you can see is that as Jasmy's price did start to reverse a little bit after getting this full beautiful fib extension. I mean, it was a great fib extension, by the way. Look what happened at the golden box. Look at this. So you see how Jasmy's price got rejected off the golden box here, got rejected off of it here, got rejected back down, put in the inverse head and shoulders, broke up, cleared the golden box, and went to the fib extensions. That was a great move. But what happened is that it did start to get rejected, like we're seeing right now. We started to see it roll over a bit, like we're seeing right now. And then we saw this bear cross happen. Boom. Now, this bear cross happened much sooner in the pullback to the downside than we're seeing right now, but it did happen. And what ended up happening was that this did signal the beginning of the pullback, in which we actually saw Jasmy's price pullback. And what's this? I mean, 65% in this scenario. But before we did see the continuation here, about a 55% pullback before, obviously, this was a pump of, roughly 70%. So a 50% correction here after that did happen. And so that's interesting. Okay, so in this situation, we got the bearish MACD cross. We saw a 55% correction. Once we saw a 55% correction, we saw a move upwards. Okay, interesting to think about. Now, before that, okay, let's see what happened back here. Well, we saw the Fibonacci extension upwards. Clearly, we hit this little micro Fibonacci extension zone right about there. As you can see, the 1.618 fib extension before coming back down to the golden box, just like we did recently. As this was starting to happen, early on, we saw that bearish MACD cross. And afterwards, what we saw, of course, while all of this was starting to play out, we did see this pullback of roughly 42% before we did see this bottoming out here. And then, of course, Jasmy's price then pumping off this bottom to, this macro low about 200%. So oddly enough, in these scenarios where we see the bearish cross and a 40 to 50% correction to the downside, it's a signal that Jasmy is starting to put in a bottom. Well, if we then apply that to what we're seeing right now, that is exactly what we're seeing right now. The only difference is that the MACD cross is actually happening later now than it did back then. What we can see is that we have the pullback already. The pullback came first, which is the only difference from what we had back then. What happened previously was that the price started pulling back a little bit, the MACD cross would happen, then the real pullback came. This time around, we saw Jasmy's price pulling back a good bit, drop 46%, triggering the MACD cross while we are trying to build up some support here. So the question that you may have is, well, what does this mean? Well, history says that after the MACD cross, Jasmy's price does pull back a little bit. So there is a risk that we do see Jasmy's price still come back down towards this golden box to what could be, 3.2 cents or 3.3 cents. But history also says that once you see that 40 to 50% correction, that is usually the micro to midterm term bottom, and some sort of pump does soon follow thereafter. And considering the fact that with Jasmy right now, we are looking to see it build up some support and find a bottom and continue up towards 8.5 cents, I would actually say that's a good combo. Because you do need to also consider where we are right now is in a much bigger version of a bull market than what we were in previously when those last two moves happened. So what we see now is very likely going to be a more bullish version of what we saw back then, meaning that we might not even need to see the big pullback after that MACD cross. This pullback of 45% plus the MACD cross alone could be the two lagging indicator, or the move plus the lagging indicator that we need to actually signal that this little range, this golden box to the downside, could be either the bottom or very close to the bottom. And so I would actually say that's a good sign. I would actually go to say that that puts us in a spot to where I would say, this bottom we put in down here is more than halfway towards the downside, and Jasmy's descent here, this pullback here, could be coming to an end sometime soon. Not to say it can't go a little bit further, it definitely could. It could still come back to 2.8 cents, 2.6 cents, or something like that. But the likelihood is that the majority of this pullback is already behind us. We're not probably going to go another 50% downwards, and that we will have an opportunity to try to find a higher low and continue upwards. And so because of that, all of these things that we need, these resets, these indicator cooldowns and pullbacks that we're looking for in order to confirm that we have enough room to the upside to actually move up towards 8.5 cents are already starting to go off. And I take that as a very good sign. And so no, I'm not going super long on leverage and all these things, because remember, we're stuck between two very, very important zones, the golden zone to the top side and the golden zone to the bottom side. So until we break one of these zones, I'm still not doing anything really, but it is a good sign to show that we are either about to make this move to the upside, or even if Jasmy's price does come back down, we are either at or very close to the bottom, and doing some purchases down here could very likely end up to some type of profit as the price does move forward. So this does further add to my conviction and thesis that Jasmy's hunting for the higher low, and we'll try to continue up here. And so it's really a win-win situation. The question just becomes, at what point do we win? Do we win now, or do we get to buy a little bit more at cheaper prices and then win later? I'm cool with either one, and so I thought that was a pretty cool thing to study. The fact that 40 to 50% pullback plus the bearish MACD cross actually is a signal that a pump and that the bottom could be on the way. That's pretty interesting of a thought. And so I wanted to share it with you today. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Obviously, a lot of the technical analysis we do here is just kind of up for speculation and up for interpretation. So let me know your interpretation of what we have seen before, and let me know what you think is going to happen with Jasmy. But don't forget, I am going to update you as we do operate between these two golden zones. So do stay tuned for that, and keep a very close eye on what Jasmy does as this price does start bouncing between each one of these zones. And now, as I said earlier, if you're somebody who is simply just trying to get better at this whole crypto thing, what I want you to check out is the Patreon link down below. If you check out the Patreon link down below, guys, you're going to see two major options: $17 a month or $5 a month. These are the costs of Netflix subscriptions, or cheaper, but what you're going to get access to is insane in terms of value, at least in my opinion. You're going to get access to my thoughts and insights, and also sometimes the things that I'm buying and selling. I told them some of the things that I was pulling profits from last night and much more. You're going to get exclusive live shows for only Patreon members every single day, Monday through Friday, and we actually just announced a couple more shows that'll be coming on a weekly basis. You're going to get daily technical analysis on all your favorite cryptos, daily fundamental analysis on the market itself. I've hired 2 teams of professional traders that are posting their buy and sell signals every single day that they're trading. And you need to remember, these are people whose businesses and livelihoods rely on them trading well, and they're giving you their buy and sell signals every single day. We have premium classes on things like the Bollinger Bands, XRP itself, the Fibonacci's. We have beginners courses on things like leverage trading and technical analysis. I have 3 more beginners courses coming out, guys. These are 30 minutes long, 20-page presentations, vocabulary sheets, cheat sheets, all types of stuff to help you beginners really start learning how all this stuff works. And then there's Tips with Tyler, which are just these 2 to 3 minute long videos, just kind of on random things. And you can pause it right now and read this so you can see what some of the things that we made the videos on. And so all of this stuff combined are helping our community just absolutely explode in terms of growth. We've seen so many gains. I mean, look, this is just yesterday. Look at the gains that are being printed: 77, 100%, 200%, 60%, 100%. And we're again just in yesterday, 200% gainer there, 26, 90, 129. Again, all just yesterday. This isn't even 15 hours ago that all of these gains have been printed. So if you want to be someone who's learning all these lessons, developing your strategies, getting better at this crypto thing, and turning into real gains, real profit, real money during this bull market to make the most of this bull market, all that I ask again is you just go check that Patreon link down below, because it's the cost of a Netflix subscription or cheaper, which is crazy value in my opinion. So go check that out. Let me know what you think, and don't forget, listen, we post 6, 7, 8 videos a day on the channel here. So if you do want to stay stay as caught up as possible on this whole crypto thing, all that I ask from you, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.